starting, or just?
Go ahead, Erik, can you sort of just take us through the thought of getting up here a day early and sort of changing the way you usually travel?
We just want to get used to the environment, the arena up here. We don't need to spend any more time in Miami. We need to get ready for what's awaiting us up here.
And then obviously things have changed since last game. Nick Batum out for at least one. How do you see that possibly changing how the series plays?
You just never know. It's unpredictable. It's unfortunate as competitors. As soon as he sprained his ankle, you want players from both teams to be out there. Now that he's out, it adds an element of unknown. So it's still going to come down to who's imposing their game more consistently than the other team. I'm sure they'll be energized by playing in front of their home crowd. They've been a great home team all year long. Impressive home wins. So we know we have to bring our best.
Steve Clifford said he can go one of two ways. He could go small, starting Jeremy Lin, go three guards. He can go big with Kaminsky or another big man. Does that change anything in the way you do things, reacting to them? Or
well, it's still going to be about who can impose their game more consistently than the other team. It still comes down to that. They've had some moments where times where they've really put some pressure on us with their game. Walker getting into the paint, making plays, and obviously we haven't contained Jefferson very well. So I imagine those two guys, regardless of who's starting, will be very prominent in their attack.
Erik, did everyone practice today beyond Tyler and Chris?
Everybody did practice, yeah.
No other injuries, things that have changed since last game?
Erik, there's been a lot of focus, obviously, on the offensive numbers because of the scoring, but defensively, you've sort of been able to disrupt what they like to do at the three-point line. How is that?
I don't know. All I know is they're an explosive three-point shooting team. They've got several guys that can do it. Their numbers at home are better, like every team usually are on the road. With your shooting, you become more comfortable. It's a major part of who they are, and it takes great commitment and effort. You can't just talk about getting to the three-point line. That means getting out 25 feet and getting guys to put the ball on the floor, and that makes people uncomfortable defensively. It makes you uncomfortable. That's what's required. And the challenge is now you got Walker living in the paint and Jefferson doing what he does. It makes it that much more challenging.
From the offensive perspective, the challenge for you, from 1 to 2, you kept that same pace, that same scoring. How do you kind of keep that?
That's been more of a narrative for you guys. Your defense has to travel on the road, period. If you're not going to defend on the road, you're going to have a tough night. You have to be able to win possessions, make it a possession game. You can't just bank on your offense. It'd be great, if you can get it, but it's really a mindset disposition that's the most important thing.
The second part of that discipline on the three-point shooting, coach, is guys staying home on their shooters. You talk about Kemba getting in the lane. Guys have really been able to stick on the perimeter.
It's a lot easier said than done. It really is. Because they have guys that can put the ball on the floor and collapse your defense. Walker and Lin were living in the paint. So while we're defending the three-point line, those guys are being pretty aggressive and making plays at the rim. So there has to be a balance, but it's a requirement at this point. And there several times you have to make that extra multiple effort to get that 3 or 4 feet to get to those shooters.
The smaller lineup you went with later in the game with Dang almost at the 5, was that something you were able to somewhat force their hand with?
We'll see. They made the adjustment first on that one. And then we got the 5th foul on Hassan, so we went with that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
There's always a meaning behind the playlist and what you guys are using to listen to. The significance of Prince and what he's made.
You have to ask everybody else, but shoot, I grew up with him. I remember my first AAU tournament. I got my first Prince cassette, and we sat in the back of the plane, all of us 13-year-olds, and that's all we did. The entire flight was play Prince songs, and that whole trip in Arizona, we were playing that one cassette. So it's one of the guys, a brilliant performer. I grew up with Prince songs, the whole MTV generation. It's a unfortunate day for music. So it was just something we wanted to do to recognize such an incredible talent.